students. Oh, yeah. We had a meeting. We have here in the Chabad, we have a minyan every Shabbos and Yantiv, like just local people. Okay. We never planned it. It kind of just like popped up that way. People start coming to shul. So we had a meeting last night for interested parties, if you will. Okay. Oops, what happened? Okay. Progress. Okay. This class is called BaOmer, ChatGPT and You. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to talk about BaOmer, and hopefully it'll be relevant. Hopefully it'll be interesting. I did some. We'll get to ChatGPT a little bit later. It's not bad. I roasted this coffee the other day. I bought a hot air popcorn roaster. You can roast coffee in it. Bought the green beans roasted. Not bad. Okay. So tonight is going to be the very joyous day of Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer. It's the 18th day of the month of Iyar. 18, of course, in Hebrew is Chai. So it's Chai Iyar, the day of life of Iyar. And Iyar itself is already a very unique month, the only month of its kind in the entire year, because there's a unique mitzvah on every single day of the month. There's no other month that's like that. Not even Tishrei, which has Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and all the holidays. There's not a mitzvah every day per se that's related to that time of year. I mean, yeah, there's a mitzvah every day to recite the Shema, and things like that. But that's not unique to any particular day. That's just constant. Whereas, so there's even the month of Nisan we just finished with the month of Pesach. Again, it's such a powerful month, so much going on, but not every day has a specific mitzvah. But however, now the month of Iyar, we have a mitzvah every single day, which is to count the Omer. Even though we started the Omer in the month of Nisan, and we're finishing the Omer in the month of Sivan, when Shavuos is, right, the giving of the Torah, we're in between now. And in between month, Iyar, where we are now, the whole month, every single day, there's that mitzvah to count the Omer. And that's why we call it Lag BaOmer. So it's the 33rd day of the Omer. So I want to read from you something it says in Shulchan Aruch, in the Code of Jewish Law. It says as follows. I'm on the wrong page, apparently. Where did it go? Oh. Here, sorry, I was on the wrong page. Marbim Ktsas Simcha. On the day of Lag BaOmer, we increase a little bit in our joy. Ve'ein oimrim boy tachnun, and we don't recite tachnun, which is on the one of the questions there, and just shoot me a question from this week's Queen's Fabring and Parsha sheet. We do not recite tachnun, the so-called confessional prayer on Lag BaOmer. That's generally associated with a happy day. Whether it's a Yom Tov like Pesach, we don't say Tachanun. Whether it's the day you're getting married, you don't say Tachanun. Other joyous days, we don't recite Tachanun, including Lag BaOmer. In fact, even already today, which is Erev Lag BaOmer, we don't recite Tachanun at the Mincha prayer. So the holiness of Lag BaOmer is already bleeding into the week, so to speak. Fine. The question is, what is the Simcha of Lag BaOmer? That's the question we're going to start. What is the joy of Lag BaOmer? And in fact, we see across the world, it's only expanding. Here in the Shulchan Aruch, it says you should increase ktsat, a little bit of joy. However, you see that in the Jewish world, especially in Israel, the joy is like over the top on Lag BaOmer. Anybody who been to in Israel for Lag BaOmer? Yeah. It's like wild. It's everybody, by the way, religious people, non-religious people. So there's a whole huge celebration. It's like anywhere you go, you don't even have to go to Meron, which is that's the choice destination for most people. Although I think it's closed this year. I think the Israeli government's closing it this year, as far as I know. It's been 5-6 years already. It's been hard to get to Meron on Lag BaOmer for various different reasons. But we see that people are doing much more than increasing a little bit in joy. They're increasing a lot in joy. The question is why? So what is Lag BaOmer? So there's a few things. One thing is that during the period of the Omer, it's period of mourning now, right? Time period of mourning. So you're not supposed to take a haircut. You're not supposed to purchase new clothing if you don't need it. Things like that. You're not supposed to listen to music and so on and so forth. Why is it a period of mourning? Well, there was a great Rabbi Akiva, right? You know how many students he had?
25,000.
Close. 24,000 students. So let's think first. Just think about that for a second. Let that land just for a second. 24,000 students. This was before WhatsApp. This was before the internet. Like, how do you get 24,000 people to come hear you? That means it was all in person. Or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't all in person. Maybe people heard his teachings without even having met him and said, wow, that's my rabbi. A rabbi with teachings like his. So I don't exactly know how it worked, but 24,000 students, even today, would be quite remarkable. Certainly many, many years ago. However, tragedy struck.
It's like all the people in Queens College put together.
Yeah. Imagine if they were all your students. Wild. Wild to think about that. I think to even have one person who could really be your student would already be something remarkable. So what happened then? Tragedy struck, right? We know what happened. Unfortunately, they all died. 24,000 died in the span between Pesach and Shavuos. How many funerals per day? Think about it. Think about the sheer numbers we're talking about here. 24,000 people died in this time period, 49 days. Can we do the math, basically? I'm not so good
at
math.
A little under 1,000.
Thought it was closer to 700, no? Not so good at math. Okay. Anybody know math? I think it's about 700 funerals per day. How do you even manage that? How does a community manage that? I don't know. Even in COVID, there were multiple funerals a day. That seemed like a lot. I don't think there were 700 a day. But anyway, they all died. So Lag BaOmer, our sages tell us, they stopped dying on Lag BaOmer. That's the joy. How does that sit? By the way, what does it mean they stopped dying? It means they were all dead. So stopping dying is not like, what are you celebrating exactly? You stopped dying. What do you mean stopped dying? Everybody died. There were no students left.
Did you know why they were dying?
That's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. Our sages tell us the reason they died is because they were so connected to their teacher, to their rabbi, and to his central teaching, which is, what's the central teaching of Rabbi Akiva? Love your neighbors yourself, right? Does this make sense? They were so connected to his teaching, but not you. What is that? How does that work? That's crazy. These were the disciples. Like, if you're only going to get one thing from your teacher, I hope you get his main point. So certainly these 24,000 students all indeed received and absorbed his major central teaching, yet they didn't live it. They didn't do it. Seemingly didn't live it. Or perhaps we might say that no, they actually did live it. They completely, entirely lived that teaching of love your neighbor as yourself, so encompassing in such a complete way that they couldn't. By the way, does everybody, here's those three words, love your neighbor as yourself. Does everybody understand them the same way?
No.
No. Does anybody?
Yeah, what if you don't love yourself?
That's the starting point. If you're going to love someone else like you, so you have to start by loving yourself. It's the starting point, no?
Yeah.
If you don't love yourself, you need some help. I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that for real. Person needs help. So it's okay. It's okay to need help. Whether it's a rabbi, a therapist, a friend, or sometimes the help, by the way, is as simple as going for a walk. Sometimes that's the help the person needs. In fact, I was speaking to a therapist who comes here and davens here on Shabbos many weeks. And he told me that he tells all of his clients, the following. He tells them, if you want to finish with me quicker, like if you want to stop seeing me sooner, go exercise. He tells all of his clients, you want to see me, go exercise. Because if you don't want to exercise, that's fine. You're going to have to see me longer. You're going to have to pay me more money because it's going to take longer to fix your problems. That's basically what he tells them. I'm paraphrasing, but so exercise is actually a key component of physical health. We know mental health, emotional health. So sometimes all it takes when you're feeling like whatever, like your world is upside down, go for a walk, go for a run, go for a swim, go play ball, just get out there and just exercise, get the blood pumping, and you're going to feel better almost immediately. It's not a guarantee. That's not a scientific prescription, but try it. It works. How did we get on that? I'm sorry. How did I get to that tangent? Oh, yeah. So did all of the 24,000 students understand that teaching the same way? Presumably not. Just like no two people understand anything the same way. No two people are the same. It's like I heard from a Sephardic rabbi here in Queens once that sometimes young, and he talks to young couples sometimes about shalom bayit and marriage and whatever. Says once a young couple comes to him and says, we're fighting. We were arguing about this, about that. And he says to them, what do you think? You're going to get married to someone, you're going to agree with everything they say? That's impossible. There's nobody in the world that you're going to see eye to eye on everything. So you disagree with your wife? So what? So he said, so what? Don't make it a big deal. You disagree, that's normal. That's part of being a normal human being. You don't see things exactly the way another person sees them. So you disagree, so what? Obviously, if the couple is fighting all the time, that's a separate issue. then it's more a problem. So actually, Rabbi Akiva's students indeed were living with the message of Ve'ahavta l'recha k'mamecha. The problem was, I was living it with my way of interpreting and understanding it. And you were living it with your way. And I was so bothered because I love you so much that I need to convince you about the way I understand the mitzvah to love your neighbor as yourself is the correct, because you're doing it wrong and I want to help you. So in a sense, the misguidedness was coming from a good place. And they just lacked the proper communication there. Okay. Anyway, that's not the point of this class. I just wanted to mention that. So if we're going to say that the simcha of Lag BaOmer is because the students stopped dying, again, but they didn't stop dying. They all died. Imagine, God forbid, in the Holocaust, which happened. A shtetl, a city's wiped out. All the Jews killed, God forbid. And we say, celebrate. What? Are you tone deaf? Are you crazy? How are you celebrating? That's not a celebration. So there's another reason that our sages tell us we rejoice on Lag BaOmer, and that is that it's the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, known as the Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon, the way he passed away. And that's why we're happy. Okay, how does that fit? Doesn't make sense. Moshe Rabbeinu passes away, and it actually says in the Code of Jewish Law, it's a day of fasting. Most people don't do it, but it's a day of fasting. His sister, he had a famous sister also, right? Remember her sister's name? She was famous. Miriam. She passes away on the 10th day of the month of Nisan. And it says in the Code of Jewish Law, fast day. Hey, we don't fast, but... So all of a sudden, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai comes along, passes away, all Lag BaOmer, we're like, yay, celebrate. He's dead. Shouldn't say it. That sounds rude. He passed away, let's celebrate. That doesn't make sense either. When do you celebrate when a righteous person leaves this? So that's not a celebration. That's sad. We mourn, we bury them, and the family says Kaddish or whatever. It's not a state of rejoicing. Lag BaOmer, we rejoice. And the main reason really that we rejoice is indeed because of Rabbi Shimon. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. Now, the simple reason why we rejoice the day he passed away is because that's what he told us to do before he passed away. Before he passed away, he instructed his students, when I die, it's a day of celebration. Not because I'm gone. You guys will miss me, you love me, you'll miss me, and I'll miss you. But it's because I have a certain way of looking at reality. What do I mean? So death, normally, what does death mean? If we have to define death, can we give a definition to what it means to die? Thank God nobody here experienced it. I don't think. What does it mean to die? Can we define the term?
You're like not living anymore. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like
Your soul leaves your
your
body.
soul.
Okay, good. Good. Soul leaves the body. I like that. I like that.
Permanently,
What, permanently what?
it leaves your body, or at least until like Mashiach.
That may depend who you ask, because some great Jewish sages believe in reincarnation. The soul comes back. Others say it doesn't. So maybe it depends who you ask.
Is it true that cats are like lost souls?
People say that in Israel a lot, right?
Yeah.
Say the cats are the Kohen.
Yeah.
I'm not a cat. And I'm not a Kohen either. By the way, interestingly, one of the last names, Katz.
Yeah.
Katz, get it?
Yeah.
You know what that name means? It's actually Hebrew. A kaf and a tzaddik. Katz. And with, like when you put like two little lines between, so it's not a word, it stands for something. It's Rosh Hashanah, but it stands for Kohen Tzedek.
Yeah, I heard
That's
that
why,
from one of- yeah.
yeah, most people named Katz, most people are a Cohen. Just like most people who are Friedman are a Levi. Not always, but or Horowitz is often a Levi. Okay, anyway, that's a digression. Are cats Cohenim? I don't know. I'm not a cat, and I'm not a Cohen.
Gilgal, she's saying. Right?
Gilgal, reincarnation, right? I don't know. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so death. What is death? Death is the neshama leaves the body, the soul leaves the body, meaning death is separation. That's maybe one word maybe we could use. Death equals separation. So, and because of that separation, when we look in the world, we see, oh no, the person left the world. What do? We cry. We're sad. There's no rejoicing. We're sad. And we follow what it says in the code of Jewish law, but the laws of mourning and Shiva and Shloshim and the year, and then we say Kaddish and all these different things. That's from a perspective of living in this world. That's from the revealed perspective. And from the revealed perspective, death, separation is a day of sadness. However, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was different. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar, the great work of Kabbalah. Zohar actually means to shine or to brilliantly shine. That's what the word Zohar means. And he taught the hidden part of the Torah. Rather than the body of the Torah, he taught the soul of the Torah. So you have two people that it says in Chassidus brought the Torah down, Moshe and Rabbi Shimon. Moshe stood on Mount Sinai and brought down the revealed Torah. What does it say in the revealed Torah? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was void, and the earth was void, and it was chaos, and the Ruach Elokim merachefet al pnei hamayim, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. That's what it says if you open the Chumash, right? That's what it says. What does all that mean? I don't know what it means. That's just what it says. And then the Torah continues and tells us about the story of Adam, the story of Eve. Eve was taken from his bone. How you do that, I don't know. How do you create a woman? How do you grab the bone? How does that work? I'm not sure. Torah tells us what happened. Then the Torah goes on to tell us more of the stories of Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak and Yaakov, and then going down into Egypt and the slavery and Paro and Moshe Rabbeinu, and he takes us out. Tells us what happened, why it's happening, and what it means. It doesn't tell us. It just tells us what happens. Then we learn about building the Mishkan in the desert and the laws of the korbanot, the sacrifices, and so on and so forth. That's the revealed Torah. Comes along Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and he brings down the hidden Torah. He brings down the soul of the Torah. And the soul of the Torah, the Zohar, the teachings of Kabbalah, don't speak so much about what happened. They speak about why it happened and what it means. So in the revealed Torah, we read Bereshit bara Elokim, which means in the beginning, God created. Fact. That's what happened. Comes along the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Kabbalists, and says Bereshit, in the beginning of what? What was before it? Bara created. How? How did he create it? And why did he create it? Elokim, God. Oh, but God has different names. Why does it use that name? What does that mean? And the Ruach Elokim, merachefet al pnei hamayim. The Spirit of God was hovering above the waters. Water? What water? And spirit hovering? Spirits hover? What does that mean? What's a spirit? That's the Zohar. That's the teachings of Kabbalah. Not what happened, but why it happens and what it means. And what does it teach us? What is it speaking to us? Again, rather than the body, but the soul, right? When you look at a person, any human being, the first thing you see is their body. But you know they're alive, right? You look at a person, you know, even if they're sleeping, you know, how do you know they're alive? Maybe they're not. I said breathing, yeah. So the chest moving up and down a little bit, breathing a little bit. Also, you see on their face, person's alive. You see. That's the soul. You're not seeing the soul. You're seeing the impact of the life force, the soul the person has. So each of us has these two sides. We have the body and we have the soul. The soul enlivens the body. The Torah also has a body and a soul. The body of Torah is what happened. What's the soul of Torah? What's the life of Torah? The why behind the what, if you will. That's the teachings of the Zohar, teachings of Kabbalah and Chassidus. That's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, guys, I'm not looking at what happened, because if you look at what happened, I died, and you have to be sad. I'm looking at what's above. What's above means that when a person passes away, death means separation. But the soul now goes closer to its source, goes closer to Hashem. That's a reason to rejoice. So on my day, we're going to rejoice. Because I'm all about looking above, looking beyond, looking deeper beneath the surface. Not just what happened, but why it's happened and what it means. What's the energy? What's the spirit behind it? Now, with that in mind, I want to transition to a conversation about, which I hope will blend with this, I hope, about AI. What does AI stand for? Artificial intelligence. Someone that told me, no, it's not artificial intelligence. So someone told me.
Aggregated information.
Aggregated information. Collected information. It really stands for artificial intelligence. So I thought I would ask ChatGPT some questions. And I screenshotted them with the questions. These are real. I asked these questions to ChatGPT, and I'm going to try to illustrate something about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai by doing this. I want to try to illustrate something about the meaning of Lag BaOmer and what it really means to be a Jew. Now, first of all, one of the first things we encounter when AI is coming into the world, people using AI more and more, ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, whatever all these different things are, right? We have to ask, and it's a question that is being asked, what's going to happen to all the jobs? It's going to do my job for me. The AI is going to take over human jobs, and it is. It already is, right? How many people, you probably know yourself, people that say, oh, I used to do such and such, but now I just push a button and gives me everything I need. Gives me all the information. I have to pay a guy $30 an hour to do it. Now I push a button and gives me all the information I need. So jobs are going to be lost. It's true. We may even wonder what is going to be the point of rabbis, professors, scientists, doctors. Who knows more, a doctor or the computer? Who knows more, a rabbi or the computer? The answer is, as a rabbi, maybe I'm sensitive here perhaps, but the computer knows more. Computer knows a lot more. Computer knows all the information that's aggregate, that's collected. Whatever information it has, it knows all of it. Whereas even all the information I have, which is first of all way less information than the computer has, I forget it. or it's on the side, or maybe I never really understood it. I don't know, different things. So what is the difference between AI and me? What is the difference between AI and human intelligence? Or is it just the same thing? Which brings us to the question, what is education? What does it mean to think? And what role will my brain have in a world that's clearly going all AI? So, you with me so far? Here are the questions I asked ChatGPT. If you don't believe it, I screenshotted them and printed them. They're obviously, my screen is not this big on my phone, but that's the way it prints. Question number 1. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you're not answering questions? What do you do when you're not answering questions?
Other things.
Other things. Give me an example.
Play basketball.
Play basketball. Okay. How about you? What do you do when you're not answering questions from people?
Just chilling.
Just chilling. Okay, good. Anyone else?
Sleeping.
Sleeping? Okay. What do you do when you're not answering questions? ChatGPT responds, I don't have an off time or inner life between chats. I don't think, wait around, browse the internet, or remember things unless they're part of an active conversation or explicitly saved to memory. When you send a message, I generate a response based on the conversation, my training, and any tools available. When the conversation pauses, I'm essentially inactive until the next prompt arrives. So what does ChatGPT do when it's not answering questions? Nothing. Step 1. Nothing. This is a real question. I suspect if you asked the different AIs, you'd get different. I actually asked Claude something this morning to see if I could add to this, but it gave me a much longer response. It didn't fit in one screenshot, so I just left it with these 3 screenshots. Here's the next screenshot, okay? ChatGPT yesterday, 10:40 a.m. I asked it the following question. Do you ever feel like you gave a wrong answer to someone? Or do you ever regret something you said? I don't mean this personally, but just as you're across from me. Do you ever regret anything you said?
Yeah.
Everybody did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have feelings. That's not me. ChatGPT. I don't have feelings, self-awareness, or regret. So I don't experience feeling bad about an answer the way a person. But I can recognize when something I said was likely wrong, unclear, or unhelpful. If new information comes up, Or if a user points out an error, by the way, which happened in the flyer that I made for today's class, I did it on Claude AI. And I made a few corrections on the flyer. And then after I took the flyer and sent it out, I realized that it wrote the year 2025 on the flyer.
That's crazy.
Artificial intelligence doesn't know what year it is. So like an hour or so later, I wrote again in Claude. The current year is 2026, which I would think you would know. 2026, not 2025, as you wrote on the flyer. Please correct it. And it corrected. Oh, sorry about that. It corrected it immediately. It's like a strange mistake, I thought. Other mistakes were also seemed like strange, but so ChatGPT said, I don't have feelings, self-awareness, or regret. I can recognize when something I said was likely wrong, unclear, or unhelpful. If new information comes up, or if a user points out an error, it's not 2025, I can correct myself, explain what changed, and try to give a better answer. The goal is to improve accuracy and be useful, even though I don't have emotions about it. Any ideas what's the difference between human intellect and AI so far?
Actually, I'm doing this assignment and it's actually giving me the wrong answers multiple times. So honestly, I don't like it right now.
Yeah, I've actually found, by the way, a lot of people, a friend of mine told me a while ago, you should ask ChatGPT your Jewish, like, halacha questions. So I was like, I don't know. So no, do it. So I tried it. I did a specific, whatever, question. And it quoted a couple sources. I'm like, wow, this is pretty awesome. Then I thought, 1 second, I better look them up. And they were both completely fabricated. Didn't exist. So someone told me, no, but it's going to get better. Oh, do you have the paid version? They said, do you have the paid version of ChatGPT? You did the paid version. Oh. Okay. Now, here's the kicker. Okay. So first of all, I'm trying to go in the direction of what does it mean to think like a human being? So if you want to know what happened in the world, if you want to know what does a certain sickness mean, what happened in the Industrial Revolution, what happened in the French Revolution, whatever. If you want to know you want to know information, a computer, I'm sorry to say, will do much better than pretty much every human being on the planet. Probably every human being. The computer knows what happened much better than you do. So if thinking is about information, then we've lost and it's over. If educating our children, I'm the only one here with children so far. God willing, one day you'll have children. And a central point in your life will be, should be, how do I educate my children? And unfortunately, some people think that the answer to that is to give them information. Yo, the computer knows more. Computer could do better at that than you could. Educate information, it means being a computer. Educating your children does not mean to turn them into a computer to spit back information. That's called being a parrot. A parrot also spits back information, has no clue what it means. The computer also doesn't know what the information means. He can just tell you what it says and go on statistics and so on and so forth. It doesn't understand what it means. Again, as we had in the previous question, there's no thinking. There's not even remembering unless it needs to remember. There's no feelings, no self-awareness or regret. None of that stuff. That's part. So intellect and thinking is not about information, or I should say, not strictly about information. Now, here we get to the kicker. My oldest son told me a couple of years ago, there was a rabbi in Israel, Kfar Chabad, Israel, passed away in the 1970s. So my son never met him, neither did I. My son said, I heard that he said, sometime before I passed away, computers already existed, but not so common, obviously. That a computer will be something like a computer. There will come a day when a computer will be far smarter than a human being. Will know much more. However, it won't be able to daven, won't be able to pray. Now, I don't know if this rabbi actually said that or not. By the way, then the next thing I did was I emailed my rabbi from Israel, who was a student of this rabbi that my son quoted, said, do you know if Rabbi Shlomo Chaim Kesselman, that's his name, Rabbi Shlomo Chaim, they called him, do you know if he actually said that? So my rabbi said, I don't know if he actually said it, but it makes sense he could have. that he could have said such a thing. So I asked ChatGPT, are you able to daven? Are you able to pray? You know the answer, right?
No.
What do you think the answer is? Is ChatGPT able to daven?
Yeah.
No. Say no. He doesn't say no. I can explain what davening is, help you find prayers, discuss meanings in siddur text, or help prepare for tefillah. See how ChatGPT switched from davening to tefillah? Interesting. But I can't actually daven myself. The obvious question is, why not? If you could do all that stuff, you could explain it to me. You could find me the sources. You could teach me how to, but why can't you actually do it? So I didn't ask. ChatGPT told me the answer before I even had to ask. Davening involves personal intention, belief, and spiritual experience, which are human acts. I can describe or support the practice, but I don't have consciousness or a relationship with God. This blew me out of the water. I don't know. Maybe it sounds very simple. This blew me. I knew this already. I didn't need to ask ChatGPT, but I was astonished to read it in black and white. So what it means to think, the thing is, so AI, a person maybe who has a more basic view of life and basic view of thinking and living, and who doesn't live an elevated life, may think, yeah, I'm scared of AI because it's going to replace me. There'll be nothing for me to think about because I'll just going to, oh, that's the answer. And if you want to ask about strict information, yeah, the computer knows more than you do. We got nothing to be afraid of. AI is going to challenge me to ask, what does it really mean to think? I heard from Rabbi Tzvi Freeman that AI will challenge us to ask, what does it mean to think like a human? Because the information apparently is not the trademark of a human's intellect. The computer has the information and much better. The real trademark of human intellect is what we're reading right here, is the personal intention, belief, spiritual experience, consciousness, relationship with God. That's what's unique about the human intellect. And that's Lag BaOmer. That's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said. He said, guys, you can look at the world around you and we can describe what you see. We can talk about facts. When it talks about facts, the computer is going to beat you in a race every day. But if you want to talk about what's beneath it, what's under it, the beliefs, the emotions, the feelings, the consciousness, regret or lack thereof, inspiration. Do you think ChatGPT can get inspired? I didn't ask. We should try that. No? Do you have it on an app on your phone?
Yeah, I can.
Which would you have? ChatGPT, Claude, what do you have?
I can just look it up, whatever.
Ask an AI, do you get inspired?
Okay.
Who are you asking?
ChatGPT.
Okay. This is live. We're testing this now. We're seeing what actually happens.
Do you want to read what it says?
I don't experience inspiration the way a person does. There's no feeling or spark on my side. How about that?
Oh.
There's no feeling, there's no spark. Information, much better than me, much more information. But I do generate ideas, not inspiration. I do generate ideas by recognizing patterns, making connection, and remixing things I learned from a huge range of sources. Okay, computer, information, the what? So what might feel like inspiration to you, that's in quote marks, like it's like joking about our inspiration. What may feel like inspiration to you is, for me, ChatGPT, more like combining ingredients in interesting ways.
Interesting answer.
It's making a cake. That's not inspiration. That said, I can definitely help you get inspired, whether it's for writing, art, business ideas, or something else. What kind of inspiration are you looking for? Fascinating. Right? So that's like BaOmer comes along with Shimon Bar Yochai and says, guys, you don't have to be sad the day I passed away. Because to be sad means to look at the what of the world. To be sad means to look at the facts. And if we look at the facts in the world around me, then I passed away, or he said this before he died, right? I'm going to pass away. Death is separation, like you said before, separation of soul and body. And that makes us sad. And we mourn and we cry and we miss you. But that's only when we look at the what of creation. But if we look at the why of creation, the inspiration, the flow, the energy, the relationship, does ChatGPT have a relationship? No, it just gives you information. When we look at the life behind the what, the why behind the what, it's a totally different story. So AI is going to challenge us. It's gonna take jobs, yeah, but it's going to challenge us to see, can I actually think like a human being? Which means so much more than just parroting information. It's something much deeper, something more profound that has to do with feelings and emotions and experience and presence and consciousness. It's something so much deeper, so much more profound. And in many ways, I think that is Lag BaOmer. And the message we can take from Lag BaOmer is the message of there's the revealed and then there's the hidden. There's the revealed Torah. That's the 5 books of Moses. Moses went on Sinai and brought down the 5 books of Moses. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Beginning of what? What happened before the beginning? Why didn't he create it before he created it? And by the way, created, how did he do that? How did he create out of nothing? Or maybe there was something, or maybe there wasn't. How do you get a world to just show up? How does it appear? And Elohim, with this name of God, that name of God, how does that work? And there's the Ruach, the Spirit of God, hovering on the water, this and that. And what does this all mean? And by the way, why am I even here? Why did he create the whole thing? Well, if you look in the revealed Torah, it doesn't tell you why. It just says the fact, this is what happened. Open up the Zohar. And the word, again, as I mentioned, the word Zohar means to shine. And all of a sudden, Zohar says, let's shine a light. Why are you here? What does it mean to live? What does it mean to connect? What does it mean to have a relationship with your spouse? What does it mean to do a mitzvah? What does it mean to learn Torah? What's happening? And those are all things that ChatGPT can't daven. He can't daven. He can put together information to help you get inspired. He don't get inspired. He doesn't get inspired. I could get inspired though. And then I could live higher, I could live elevated. And that's part of the message of Lag BaOmer, is to live elevated by looking beneath the surface, by seeking and trying to extract from life, with the guidance of the hidden parts of Torah, the Kabbalah and Chassidus, what is, not just what's happening, but why is it happening? And what does it mean? What's the significance? Questions or comments? Okay, thank you for joining. If you still have that open, can you screenshot it and send it to me? It's a good one. It's a good one. And so let's get inspired. Let's remember that the information is great, but that's not what it means to be alive. That's not what it means. You know, how well you do on the test is the best test taker still doesn't do as well as the computer. It's not just about what happens. It's about the emotions, the feelings, the presence. And you see it in a very simple way, by the way, right? Imagine you're having a problem, a personal issue, and you ask a friend about it. And they say, hold on one second. This is what you should do. I could have done it myself. I could have also put it, I was asking you, what do you answer? And part of what you want to see when you ask your friend, you say, hey, I got a problem, it's bothering me, it's weighing on me. You don't just want your friend to spit back information like a ChatGPT. Oh, I heard in such cases you should read the blah, 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 blah. Come on. I want to know if you're there. I want to know if you're listening to me. I want to know if you care about me. I want to hear what you feel, what you think. Sometimes the answer is, I don't know. That might be the answer. That might be a great answer. But a computer can't do that. And that's our place in the world today, is to recognize that ChatGPT can't daven, but I can. And as it itself defines it, it's personal intention, belief, spiritual experience, consciousness, and a relationship with God. This is part of the revolution of Lag BaOmer, and that's part of the simcha of the day, is recognizing not just what happens in the world around us, but who we really are and what we're really capable of. So thanks everyone for joining, and have a great, joyous Lag BaOmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.